More precisely, the video will explain how a lot of ideas are necessary to get successful innovations. Innovation is rarely the matter of a spark, an aha moment. It is rather the combination of multiple good ideas. But how many do you need to be successful? This video from the Innovation Leaders Club will elaborate on how many ideas you need for a successful innovation, as well as how generating a ton of ideas is good, but the creative process will only end once you have filtered and prioritized them. Don't forget that, as usual, you can access for free all of the content on this video, including the PowerPoint presentation, as well as the tools, if applicable, by clicking the link in the description below. Also, if you like the video, don't hesitate to drop a like, share it with your employees, your colleagues, and even your superiors, and leave us a comment down below. If you don't want to miss a video, subscribe now and get notifications for real and practical innovation management practices coming directly from club members. The Academy works to freely share meeting content discussed during Innovation Leaders Club gatherings. Through online bundles available for a fee, the Academy ultimately provides real and practical methodologies, visuals, and tools that can be edited or customized for your organization, training videos, and much more based on the Innovation Leaders Club members' shared best practices and the collective proficiency of all the members' knowledge. An opportunity can be defined as a market's formal or latent needs which are not fully expressed, a technological objective that could be reached to gain an important competitive edge, an action facing an impending trend, a response to a new type of user or client behavior, the development of a new application for an existing product, a reaction to an upcoming danger, that is, a new law, competitor, substitute, and more, a client's problem or a market's issue, which is the most frequent and certainly the best source, and others. Here is a visual representation of the maturation of innovation results you will see with the bundle. The innovation strategy is composed of strategic arenas, which are the area of focus for your innovation effort. A strategic arena should last between 5 and 10 years within an organization. The front end of innovation phase can be separated into 3 steps, each aimed at helping the process of maturation. The lowest level of maturity is the opportunity, and there should be multiple opportunities within each arena. Opportunities can be identified as any of the following sources: a former or latent need, a problem that needs solving, a new technology, a new trend, and so on. Ideas can then be generated to seize your opportunity, and these ideas will be more focused. This is the most embryonic form of innovation. It's step 1. A simple idea on a Post-it note is what starts it all. That idea can then be refined and combined with other ideas into a concept. A concept is an idea that has been well-defined. It is a one-pager as opposed to a one-liner. After teamwork and combined ideas, the process of refinement begins. It will eventually be presented at a project portfolio review, where it will compete against other well-defined concepts. Only the most promising of those will be selected, funded, and staffed. After the selection is made, resource allocation can begin, and the concept will officially become a project. This selection process is vital to your organization's innovation strategy. If done correctly, it will mobilize key multifunctional stakeholders. It should get to the point where it no longer solely depends on the scope of your work or your marketing and R&D teams. The concept can then be commercialized. Here's a visual representation of how you can use the maturation process proposed by the Innovation Leaders Club. To mature, you will focus on one specific arena in which to identify opportunities. It is important to select which opportunity you'll execute, since you'll define its scope and help to clarify what you're looking for. In order to address one of these opportunities, multiple ideas will need to be brought to the table. Having defined the scope of the opportunity will increase the potential for higher quality ideas. This will also help in identifying ideas that can be combined to create a whole concept. Such concept will go through a feasibility evaluation and then will compete against other concepts in the project portfolio review. During this meeting, only the best concepts will be selected and resources will be allocated. It is only by then that the concept can be called a project. As you might have noticed, the maturation process is a combination of the diverging cycle and the converging cycle. It focuses on identifying the potential opportunities, selecting one, and generating multiple ideas of solution. Then the process repeats by picking the best ideas and grouping some to develop concepts. The divergence-convergence process ends at the portfolio review when the leadership teams select the best concept. This is the best approach when it comes to the maturation of innovation. In a typical innovation cycle, there is a specific time in a calendar year when the front end of innovation happens. It should always be before the portfolio management, which could precede the annual budget planning period of the year or take place afterward. In this example, the front end of innovation would be initiated in the spring and end during the fall with the project portfolio management. Thus, the cycle is a duration of approximately 6 to 8 months. As a rule of thumb, the duration of the front end of innovation should be 50% of the duration of the development phase. For instance, as in this case, if the development phase lasts a year, then the front end of innovation will last 6 months prior to the development. However, there are cases where the front end of innovation is not completed after 6 months. In this case, the innovation opportunity will stay at this stage for another cycle. The time spent in the front end of innovation should not be a concern. What matters is how many quality project proposals come out of every portfolio review. With that said, there are cases in which an innovation opportunity may stay in the front end of innovation for multiple years because it is dependent on external considerations. This often happens with new technologies, new trends, or new regulations. Let's look at 3 innovation cycles, namely Cycle 2023 launch, Cycle 2024 launch, Cycle 2025 launch. What is interesting to note in this example is that the front end of innovation for Cycle 2025 occurs close to the launch period of the previous cycle. This means that when you meet customers to present them with your newly launched innovations, you should also present them with potential concepts to gather insights and feedback to feed your market feasibility. Note that this is the best way to optimize your customer and time while assuring that you perform your concept validation efficiently. Moreover, it will add a milestone for the front end of innovation team, allowing them to have concepts ready when meeting customers. There are club members who are capable of managing 3 innovation cycles in parallel. The amount of time available to market becomes less of an issue if you implement a proactive innovation culture, encouraging an early start, rather than developing an idea quickly because you had a late start. Let's take a hypothetical example of a milk producer in North America. When analyzing its market information prior to defining its innovation strategy, the team was stunned by the data they found. The population grows at a rate of 2% per year, but the milk consumption decreased by a rate of 2% per year. Therefore, there is an overall 4% gap in milk consumption. By digging deeper, they found that 82% of people who drink milk do so at home. Thus, the opportunity relies on expanding the away-from-home consumption. The milk producer decided to focus its innovation effort on this finding to define drinkable milk away from home as a strategic arena. Multiple opportunities can address this strategic arena, such as vending machines, lunchboxes, restaurants, events, schools, and so on. In this example, the selected opportunity is lunchboxes. Now that a clear opportunity is identified, it is then possible to shift into a creative mode in order to generate original ideas. You can spawn multiple ideas specifically targeting the lunch box. This includes relaunching the half pint with a 2.0 version, developing a Tetra Pak container type, using a form of sachet, and so on. Then the idea gets developed into a concept, which is then validated with a preliminary feasibility evaluation. In this example, the concept would have been a specific Tetra Pak format specifically made for milk to fit into a lunchbox without having to worry about the temperature for preservation. This is a simple example, but it clearly explains the difference between a strategic arena, an opportunity, an idea, a concept, and a project. A vital part of the market input in the front end of innovation pipeline is the customer demand. Unfortunately, customers usually request solutions based on what they know. On the other hand, by digging deeper, you can unveil a broader market need, which often has far more significant market potential. However, specific techniques, such as voice of customers techniques, are required to unveil those latent needs. Recall the famous quote from Henry Ford: "If I had asked the public what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse." Mr. Ford understood a long time ago that you shall listen to what the customer needs, not what they ask. Let's explore an interesting study on the front end of innovation practices. In 2007, Dr. Robert G. Cooper and Scott Edgett questioned 160 organizations regarding their front end of innovation practices. Even though this study dates back to 2007, it is still very relevant and widely used by club members. They questioned both B2B organizations and B2C, but B2Bs were overweight at 68%. There was also a bias favoring large organizations at 57%, while small and medium organizations were more closely weighted. Never miss a video. Subscribe now and get notifications for real and practical innovation management practices coming directly from club members. Don't forget to click on the link in the description below to access the content discussed in this video. There are 3 types of practices: the voice of customer practices, which are identified by a diamond; open innovation practices are identified by a square; and the other practices are represented by a triangle. Let's look at the results at the bottom left quadrant. These are not too popular and rated ineffective: external product design, external idea contest, external submission of ideas from startups, external scientific community, and partners and vendors. In the bottom right corner, other practices with low rated effectiveness but a higher percentage of usage include patent mining, an internal idea capture system. In the top left corner, the higher rated effectiveness practices but mildly used include community enthusiasts, ethnography, customer helps design product, customer brainstorming, external scientific community, and disruptive technologies. Finally, in the top right corner, the popular effective practices include lead user analysis, focus groups, peripheral vision, and customer visit teams. Notice that both ethnography and customer visit teams can be done on the same trip, on-site or with the customer. Interestingly, the most popular and effective practices were mainly the voice of customer practices, which usually requires speaking to your customers. The lowest performing practices are related to open innovation, which implies coordinating a broader ecosystem. According to club members, since 2007, the bottom practices related to open innovation seem to have improved. Let's discuss the proposed opportunity tool. This is a one-page tool to define a concept from a club member. At the very top, the opportunity is identified. Then in the first box, the current context is explained as well as the organization's current stake in this opportunity. Then the customer's problems and needs are quantified, either by evaluating the number of customers having such problems or by the value that represents such issues. In the following box, the club member explains the competing solutions by detailing their advantages and disadvantages. Interestingly, the latter provides insights on the opportunity. At the bottom, the club member defines the innovation target. First, the member quantifies the objectives, the claims the innovation will be marketed with. Moreover, he clearly defines the sandbox by precisely defining what kind of solution is included and what is excluded. As an example, you could specify to exclude any solution that would be made of plastic. On the counterpart, you could also want to include all solutions that could be suitable for e-commerce. This way, you are already framing the criteria for idea submission. Finally, you could also add another layer of constraints, such as the product must be biodegradable or the total cost must be under $100. Such constraint makes the ideation process more difficult. However, it will shorten your path going forward by increasing the quality of ideas that will be submitted, as they will be nearer to the set expectations. This tool is similar to the PowerPoint tool, but in Excel format. You'll need to enter the same information as in the PowerPoint tool, but this one might be easier to format since it has been designed to be printed on a letter format sheet. There are 2 sections in this tool, the context and the innovation target. Let's look at the context by detailing who the customer is. If you have identified a persona, it is probably the best way to present whom you are targeting. After this, quantify the approximate size of the market by mentioning how many other people who like the persona are in a certain area, such as a country, region, or even the world. Then figure out precisely the organization's current stake in this opportunity. Next, focus on the customer's needs. Try to quantify it by evaluating how much time and money such consumers are currently spending to solve their problems. In the following box, explain who the stakeholders are and what their role is in the decision-making process. Should they be involved in the development of the innovation? Then indicate any trends that might affect the innovation. Is there anything to seize or watch? Is the opportunity related to something bigger? To complete the context, explain the competing solutions by detailing their advantages and disadvantages. Interestingly, the latter provides insights on the opportunity. The second section is the innovation target. Start by quantifying the objectives, which are the claims the innovation will be marketed with. Moreover, clearly define the sandbox by precisely defining what kind of solution is included and which one is excluded. As an example, you could specify to exclude any solution that would be made of plastic. On the counterpart, you could also choose to include all solutions that can also be suitable for e-commerce. This way, you are already framing the criteria for idea submission. Finally, you could also add another layer of constraints, such as the product must be biodegradable or the total cost must be under $100. Such constraints make the ideation process more difficult. However, it will shorten your path going forward by increasing the quality of ideas that will be submitted, since they will be nearer to the anticipated expectations. Let's proceed to identify a real problem and discuss the tools that can be used in finding its root cause or major causes. Let's discuss the three key approaches often used in identifying a real problem, namely the 5 whys analysis, affinity diagram, and the fishbone diagram. One of the most popular strategies in identifying a real problem is the 5 whys analysis. Using this technique will enable you to quickly remove the layers of distracting indications from detecting the real causes of a problem. The 5 whys analysis is a simple tool for drilling down a request to identify the root cause of the problem by asking why 5 times. However, it is vital to clarify that asking 5 times is situational. There are instances when you can discover the root cause after asking why 3 times, or you may even have to ask more than 5 times to reach the answer. Regardless of the specific number, coming up with the root cause is the overall objective. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos on innovation management practices discussed during the Innovation Leaders Club meetings. You may also want to get a hold of this free content, including the entire PowerPoint presentation with the text associated in the video, and if applicable, the tools presented. You can find the link to get your free package in the description below. Finally, don't hesitate to leave us a comment or watch the next video to learn even more about innovation management practices.